Ladies and gentlemen, with the Rift update in full swing, we've actually gotten a new patch that's unrelated to the major piece of content. My name is Derailious, welcome back to Skyblock News, and let's launch right into it. The most major change today involves the zombie pet, in which it's actually gotten a pretty interesting new feature. It now allows you to increase all stats on undead armor by a certain percentage depending on the zombie's level, going all the way up to 20%. Any armor pieces that you have that are undead actually display as undead, meaning that you're able to actually see what this applies to. In my opinion, this isn't a crazy huge improvement. This doesn't make it the best item in the game, by any stretch of the imagination. However, it does improve a pet that was otherwise fairly useless. I can imagine for people using things like the Reaper Mask, this is certainly an improvement. Aside from the relatively major changes, we also got some pretty small ones that I think are fairly neat. Notably, we got a new piece of dialogue revolving around the lost and found, meaning that players should be able to find this feature more easily. On top of this, the cactus has been added to the delicate enchantment, which I think is a pretty big W for farmers. And also they removed the BIN limit on uncommon items, meaning that you can now buy it now on uncommon items as much as you want, which I think is fairly good. They also added things like the SOS flare to the museum, meaning that players who actually participate in Blaze Slayer might be pretty happy here. Muted players can no longer rename island NPCs, I don't know why they were able to in the first place, and also there were a bunch of bug fixes. However, they do state at the bottom of this forum post that there might be a few more changes to the Rift in the coming days, which will be grouped in a patch notes later on, so that's something to look forward to. Finally, we have some pretty interesting information that comes from a very strange place. Notably, this comes from the Skyblock Nerds application forum, notably Wave 5. This is a new piece of information that we got from a pretty large Q&A that they essentially did, discussing about how Skyblock Nerds works. Now, under the category, can you give me some examples of projects that SBN members were involved in, they actually have something fairly neat. Notably, a Dungeons update to make Berserker more viable in Dungeons, along with some early game enhancements. This project is expected to hit the alpha network for public testing when it's ready. They also have an ongoing project for build changes, where SBN members can propose ideas for build changes to the game. So, I think that kind of goes to show that there are some things being worked on behind the scenes. A Berserker update would be really nice to see. Melee does need to be made a little bit more viable in some stages of Dungeons, and I would love to see some build changes, notably, if I could propose anything, to the Howling Cave area in the park. That area is far too small, and in my opinion, it makes actually killing the wolves and spawning Svens way too difficult, compared to the other bosses, that is. Overall, though, I think this is a pretty interesting development. The fact that we're getting information about Skyblock Nerds is a very good thing, and if you want to apply, well, now the applications are open forever. There are going to be cutoff dates, obviously, but if you miss a date, you can just apply afterwards and you'll be potentially accepted at the next cutoff date. So yeah, make sure you go check that out, I'll have it linked in the description. Overall, while the Rift has had a very successful launch, all things considered, it's pretty nice to see them already working on other improvements and additions to the game. The new zombie improvements are actually fairly solid, and I think it will make the pet a little bit more used. I don't think it's going to become the most prominent thing in the world unless there's some sort of setup that you can find that'll make it crazy overpowered, but hey, I figure it will get at least a little bit of use now. As well as this, some of the potential future updates, notably build changes and also a Berserker update, look really nice. So I really do hope we get some more information about that in the future. Not to mention we have other things potentially coming out, things like Skyblock chapters, and maybe even some more information about the foraging update over the next few months. At the end of the day though, my name is Derailious, thank you so much for watching this video till the end, and look to the future fellas, because I will see you then.